Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Am I clearly audible? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bande Gurun Ishavakta Isham Ishavatarakam Tat Prakasham Shatat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Sangakam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapresthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sadhu Prabhu, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, you are.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Madheka Vandhamatsangi Madhuro Vanmahatana Manvishtarakamatagya Madanandanamastute Sadhu Sadhukadai Atini Chachatarva Anam Chakadachinma Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we are discussing prayers by Queen Kunti. In our last class, we have seen Queen Kunti, she offered her prayer by addressing Krishna. Namo Kinchana Vittaya Nivritta Gunantaye Santaya Kaivalya Padaye Namo. And prior to this, she was saying that the opulence in this material world are hindrances to attain the ultimate goal of life. Therefore, you are actually approachable by those who are materially impoverished. Then she went on describing about the greatness of Krishna by addressing, actually, you are the property of your devotees, and your devotees are your property. This is your reciprocal relationship you have with your devotees. That means you are beyond the material modes. And Atmarama, you are always satisfied in yourself. Santaya, very peaceful. And Kaivalya Putayana means you are the one who gives liberation. So, when Kunti Maharani, she addresses Krishna, Atmaram, Kaivalyapati. So, Krishna says to Queen Kunti, my dear auntie, Nanu, Dev Putram Mam Katham Eva Stausi Tatra. My dear auntie, I am son of Devaki. Why do you glorify me like this? And Kunti Maharani says, Manye Tvam Kalame Sanam Vidahanadi Nidhanam Vidham Samam Charantam Saravatra Bhutanam Janmitha Kali. So Kunti Maharani says, you are not only son of Devaki, but I know who you are. That's why she says, Manye, I consider you or your lordship Kala, the eternal time. When she says Kala means Krishna is situated in the heart of every living entity. Yes, Antaryami. And he knows past, present, future. That means whatever karma a living entity has performed previously, Krishna as Antaryami, he can ever the result. Just like in Upanishad it is said, Jatha Sannidhi Matrena Bandha Poha Jayate Monaso Nopakadritva Tathasu Parameshwara. Just like the agitation is created in someone by being near a flower bud, right? Jatha Sannidhi Matrena Bandha Shobhayate. If you come near a flower block or fragrant flower garden, then automatically your sense of smell creates agitation. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in the heart of every living entity, as Antaryami, can smell the desire of the living entities. And then he awards them the results accordingly. Prabhupada writes, Paramatma. Another name of the Paramatma, teacher of the Lord, is Kala. Here Kunti Maharani addresses Krishna, Manyetam Kala, I know your lordship, the eternal time. That is another name of Paramatma, eternal time. Eternal time is the witness of all our actions, good and bad. And thus, resultant actions are destined by him. It is no use saying that we do not know why and for what we are suffering. We may forget the mistake for which we may suffer at this present moment, but we must remember that Paramatma is our constant companion, and therefore he knows everything past, present, and future. So therefore Kunti Maharani says, yes, you are son of Devaki, but I know more about you. Kal, Ishan. Ishan means Bahishcha Sarvaniyantaram. Actually, you are controlling everything from outside as well. Anadi, Adyanta Shunya. Means you are the original personality of Godhead. There is no beginning or there is no end for you. And Vibhum, all pervasive. Uh, and then Krishna says, Samam Charantam Sarvatra. I am equal to everyone. Oh, Krishna says, how can you say I am equal to everyone? I am, as Partha Sarathi was favoring Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Therefore, people criticize me. How can you say I am equal to all? Therefore, Kunti Maharani says, Bhutanam Dhanmita Kali. People don't understand you and they quarrel among themselves and they find fault with you. But actually, you are equal to everyone. Prabhupada writes, everyone is suffering and enjoying the results of his own destiny. So he continues. This destiny is made by the living beings in course of social intercourse. Janmitokal. In this material world, when people are self-oriented, they are only thinking about their own good. They are without being Krishna conscious. Through this social intercourse, they create the karma, they create their own destiny. So in that way, they quarrel and fight. But Krishna has got nothing to do with the living entities, independent DJ. Everyone here wants to load it over material nature. And thus, everyone creates his own destiny under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. He is all pervading and therefore he can see everyone's activities. And because the Lord has no beginning or end, he is known also as eternal time, Kara. So in that way, Kunti Maharani, she offers her prayers to Krishna by addressing that nothing is outside of Krishna's jurisdiction. Anything inside or outside, everything is known to him and he actually controls our destiny. Even though through our social interaction we create our destiny, but the result is awarded to us by him. So further, she continues on the same topic by saying that no vedataschi bhagavan sikirsitam tave manasya nrinam virambanam nayasya kaschidaito asti kargiti visyasya jasmin vishamamatirnam. So when Krishna said, you are saying, I am equal to all, then Krishna is saying, I am not actually equal to all. So further, she describes, not with a Kast Bhagavan Sikeshita. Actually, what you want to do, nobody knows. Oh Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes. Not with a Kast Bhagavan Sikeshita. So Krishna, he appears as a human being, right? Rama, Krishna, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when he performs his pastime in human form, people are not able to understand him. And you have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People are imagining that you are Persian. Bhutanam Dharmita Kali, after saying this, he is saying, actually, people without having proper understanding about you, they are confused. When they are confused, they are not able to understand you, what you are trying to do. So your pastime as a human being, then people find, oh, you are uh, partial to some people. You reward or you punish somebody. So in that way, now Kunti Maharani, she is saying, when she says, Vishamam Natir Nidam, the point can be taken in this connection that for sun god is neither partial to anyone. Even though we see when sun rises, a thief, he thinks, oh, sun is becoming, partial to other people. Why sun is rising? Or when sun rises, the sun ray absorbed by the stone called Suryakanta Mani attains the favor of the sun. No, that is because of the Vastu Sadgunya. Means the good quality of an object make it fortunate to receive the sun ray. Similarly, Lord, when he performs his pastimes as a human being, it's nothing to do with him being partial or impartial. No, there is no impropriety by the Lord. So he is equal to all. Therefore, foolish people think that devotional service is flattering and reward to get special mercy. Those who are envious of the Lord because they feel people go to Krishna and they flatter him to get some favor, but actually it is not. Why? People who are against Krishna consciousness, they can check darkness. They can see the bright part of devotional service. That as a living entity, for example, let us take this. You see, our very existence in this material world is meant for serving Krishna. We are always in search of peace, satisfaction, and happiness. But we have forgotten that without coming in contact with the Supreme Lord, it is not be possible for a human being to attain peace and prosperity. But without knowing this, then we say, oh, people who are worshipping Krishna, they are being told by him, like for example, in battlefield of Kurukshetra, why Krishna had to become charioteer of Arjuna, that's how Arjuna won the battle, and so many people lost their life because of Krishna. These people, they say like this. It's not nothing like that. This is the natural thing. Krishna, whatever he does good for all. So in that way, those who go to Krishna, they get his favor. Who is stopping you to go to him? Like sun god, when he spreads his ray, Suryakanta Mani, he observes the light and she becomes more valuable. That is the power. Similarly, you, Krishna is sending his potency, you just become a recipient and you become his devotee. Krishna is also going to take care of you. But why are you finding fault with him? Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. He has no one as the specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of Godhead as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like a human beings, but actually they are transcendental and without anything of material contamination. This is very difficult to understand by foreigners. Prabha says, suffering and needy man, inquisitive persons, or philosophers make temporary connection with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. When the purpose is served, there is no more relation with the Lord. A suffering man, if he is pious at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, in most cases, the suffering man no longer cares to keep any connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but he is reluctant to receive it. That is the difference between pure devotee and a mixed devotee. People go to the Lord for business transaction, right? Because they want something in return, that's why they perform Krishna. So as Prabhupada clearly mentioned that this is the difference between pure devotion and mixed devotion. Somebody who performs mixed devotional service, they approach the Lord with intention, and when their motives are fulfilled, they will give up practicing Krishna consciousness. They are actually coming in the category of Narayana. Having accepted Krishna consciousness, when their desires is fulfilled, then they give up, they are actually Narayana. And there are some others also, even though they may be for the name's sake, they remain as a devotee, but they are not very much serious for Krishna consciousness. They are also mixed devotees. So in that way, Kunti Maharani, she said, Janma karma cha vishwatman ajasya karturatmana Teriyam rishu sujadasu tatyanta vidambanam. Of course, it is bewildering for soul of the universe that you are, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, man, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. Janma karma savishwatma ajasya kartaratma. Janma. He is Aja, but still he takes birth. Karma. He doesn't have to perform any karma, but he performs activities. What does it mean? He, being unborn, takes birth. That means his birth should not be taken as a birth of any other human being, even though he is born as a human being. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, so in that way, people don't understand it. Dasa Tiriyam Rishi Siddhartha. When Krishna, he incarnated as Prabha, and he was searching for earth, right? In action, he was thinking, oh, now you have become an animal. Huh? He is thinking like that. He didn't understand. So similarly, Krishna, when incarnated as fish, this issue, and he incarnated, Prabhupada, he mentions this in his purport, that the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of a human being. So in that way, when Krishna incarnates in this world, people are not actually able to understand the purpose behind his incarnation, even in animal species, and then they are confused, they are bewildered. He is inconceivably powerful. Everything is possible in him, therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. He cannot be understood by the very knowledge, but he can be easily understood by the pure devotees because they are intimately related with him. The devotees therefore know that although he appears amongst the animals, he is not an animal, nor a man, nor a rishi, nor a fish. He is eternally Supreme Lord in all circumstances. So, Then Queen Kunti, she is meditating on that pastime which she has personally witnessed, and she was actually bewildered. That means when Krishna he appears in any species of life that is bewildering, and a living entity, a human being, on his personal account, when tries to understand Krishna with his limited brain capacity, will remain bewildered. Therefore, Queen Kunti, she is trying to teach us that in whatever form Krishna appears, we just need to release his pastime. Because with our tiny brain capacity, if we simply try to judge him, then we will be confused. Therefore, she, while remembering the Damodar pastime that took place in front of her eyes, she is now going to glorify Krishna by remembering the pastime. Gopya dade tvai krita vasidam tava jate rasasru kalilanjana samramaksham Bhakram niniya bhayavavanaya sitasya samam vimohayati dhirapi jati dheti Nara vilambanam atyashcharyam idya. That when Krishna descends as a human being, that is most believing. That's why she says, Gopya dade tvai vasidamata. Krishna, I still remember when you committed an offense. What is that offense? Oh, you broke the churning yogurt of Mother Yashoda. Churning your churning pot of Mother Yashoda. And then because of committing that crime, that mistake, then what happened? Mother Yashoda, she took a rope and she wanted to tie you. Not only that, she was having a stick on her hand and she was trying to chastise you. Actually, Yashoda Mata didn't want to, but when you saw her taking a stick by her hand and she is trying to chastise you, Bhiya Viveki, Jate Basasru Kaliranjana Sampralaksham. I have seen personally, tears were rolling down from your eyes and you are incessantly crying. It was not a play that you are hiding something and you are just outwardly crying. No, you are actually crying. I have seen that. And she's saying, Bhaktra Niniya Bhayavavanaya Siddhasya. But at the time, being afraid of Mother Yashoda, you put your head down and the tears rolling down from your cheeks was washing the mascara from your eyes. And I could see very clearly that even though fear personified is feared by you, but you were afraid of Mother Yashoda. It was not a kind of play. You are not imitating, but you are actually fearful of Mother Yashoda. Samam bi malaiti apidarmi. I am still confused about that pastime today. So Prabhupada is saying, generally the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in a reverential nature. But the Lord is meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers the Lord to be less important than himself. I think those who are coming to Chaitanya class, last time we were discussing this, that when Krishna, he after completing his Vrindavan pastime went back to Golok Vrindavan, that time he is thinking in himself that Now, the desires which are not fulfilled, I have to fulfill those desires in my next incarnation as Chaitanya. So, what he is thinking? Then he is saying, Prabhupada also commented that Priyajati Man, this is Krishna's Kavijaya Goswami's words. Priyajati Man Kari Kare Vansan, Veda Stuti Hoite Hare, Sei Marman. And he is saying that when my Lord approaches me with a sulky mood, that I appreciate it more than the glorification of the Vedic words. So in that way, here the mood of the Lord is when his devotee considers Krishna to be less important, or the devotee considers himself as better than the Lord and serves him, just like here, the Mother Yashoda, she is thinking, oh, Krishna is small boy. If I don't feed him, who is going to feed him? If I don't take care of him, I don't protect him, who is going to protect him? Krishna needs protection of Mother Yashoda, right? But Krishna likes this. He likes this very much. Similarly, when he would play with his cowherd boyfriends, our boyfriend treats him equally. Oh, you are equal. So when you are defeated, then you have to carry us on your shoulder. So this kind of attitude where the devotee considers the Lord as his subordinate, Lord is very pleased with that kind of affection and that kind of affectionate and behavior. So in this connection, Krishna, he is appreciating the chastisement of Mother Yashoda, or Krishna is reciprocating with Mother Yashoda to give her that opportunity to experience the Vatsalya Rasa with Krishna. Therefore, Prabhupada says, Kunti was conscious of the exalted position of Krishna, whereas Jashoda was not. Therefore, Yashoda's position was more exalted than Kunti's. Mother Yashoda got the Lord as a child, and the Lord made her forget altogether that her child was the Lord himself. If Mother Yashoda had been conscious of the exalted position of the Lord, she would certainly have hesitated to punish the Lord. But she was made to forget this situation because the Lord wanted to make a complete gesture of childishness before the affectionate Yashoda. This exchange of love between the mother and the son was performed in a natural way. And Kunti, remembering the scene, was bewildered. And she could do nothing but praise the transcendental filial love. Indirectly, Mother Yashoda is praised for her unique position of love, for she could control even the all-powerful Lord as a beloved child. That means when the Lord is controlled by his devotees, actually Lord enjoys even more than Krishna, than the Supreme Lord is served with reverence. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is this Krishna is thinking that Aishwarya Mishita Nahemar Pita. Those who serve me with our reverence, I'm not very much happy with that. That's why Krishna should be worshipped with Raga. Right? But it does not mean that in course of serving Krishna by following Raga and Bhakti, the footsteps of the Brajavasis, we discard religious injunctions, and that is how Krishna will be more pleased with us. No, you cannot do that. Bahya antariya duita sadha, mane nijra siddhadeva kaya bhava, ratridana kaya Radha Krishna seva. So those who are in the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, they never reject the execution of devotional service by following rules and regulations by the sadhana. That is by your sadhana. Means externally, he has to follow all the rules and regulations. And then when he is qualified automatically by the guidance of his Guru, Krishna, he will be following the activities of Krishna consciousness as pertaining to his Siddha Deha from within in mind. So in that way, until then, we devotees need to follow these sadhana bhakti processes, and whichever form Lord appears in this world, whether in animal form or human being, as Rishi, whatever form he appears, we need to release his pastimes. That will give us a way to go forward in our Krishna consciousness. So now, in this way, when Krishna he appears in different incarnations, people are bewildered. So, different people, they have a certain different reasons for Lord's appearance in this world. Therefore, Kunti Maharani, starting in text number 32, in next 4 verses, she is going to speak about the opinion of different personalities about Krishna's appearance in this world. And then finally, she will also ascertain the main reason for Krishna's appearance in this world. Kechit ahurajam jatam punyastokasya kirtaye Ijado Piyasunvai Malaya Shiva Chandanam. Some say, this is not Kunti Mahani's personal statement. This is some says, Kechita, that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Ijadu. One devotees, you appear in his family as Sangalot appears in Himalayas. Punya slokas. Krishna, you can, and you can know, he had a very intimate connection with the district. And the fame of the district Maharaj was established on this earth planet by Krishna. Right? Krishna made him the king, and he glorified him. He helped him to perform Ashwamedha sacrifice. So in that way, the good fortune of Maharaj Yudhishthira was established on this earth planet by Krishna. And Krishna took birth in Yadu dynasty. That's why Yaduvamsa is highly glorious even today. Therefore, Kunti Maharaj is saying how Yadu Priyasandaya Malaya Shiva Chandana. The Malaya hill is famous for giving birth to the sandalwood. The hill which is famous for giving birth to the sandalwood is called Malaya Chandan. Chandan, that sandalwood, that's why it is called Malaya hill. So, Krishna, he actually glorifies his devotees by getting connected with them. This is one reason. Then the other reason is described. Apare Vasudevasya Devakyam Jatiko Bhaga Ajastamasya Kshemaya Vadhaya Chaturvisha. Others say that since both Vasudev and Devaki prayed for you. We know this past time from the 10th canto. In their previous life is Krishna and Sudapa. They prayed for Krishna to appear as their son. That's why they separate Vasudeva. Some others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. Badhaya Shashvat Pisha. Then the other reasons he said, Bharavatara Bhupanavayo Dato Idantya Bhuribharena Jatayatma Bhuvatkita. When Mother Earth was tormented by the impast rulers, Brahma along with the demigods came and prayed for your incarnation. And actually, you were born by being prayed for by Brahma, Atmavadita. That is the opinion of some other people. Others say that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble. Prabhupada, he writes in the purport, Brahma is known as Atma because he was begotten directly from the Father without any contact of Mother Lakshmi. Lakshmi was present near Narayana, engaged in the service of the Lord, and still without contact with Lakshmi, Narayana begot Brahma. That is the omnipotency of the Lord. One who foolishly considers Narayana like other living beings should take a lesson from this. Narayana is not an ordinary living being. He is the personality of God himself, and he has all the potencies of all the senses in all parts of his transcendental body. An ordinary living being begets a child by sexual intercourse, and he has no other means to beget a child other than the one designed for him. But Narayana, being omnipotent, is not bound to any condition of energy. He is complete and independent to do anything and everything. By these various potencies, very easily and perfectly. Brahma is therefore directly the son of the Father and was not put into the womb of the mother. Therefore, he is known as Atma. So Prabhupada is commenting on that particular part that Brahma is called Atma in this connection. This education is necessary for us. But some people, without understanding who Brahma is or what is the position of Narayana, Narayana cannot be taken in the category of any living entity in this world. Therefore, he expanded on the understanding of Atma. Then she says, Bhavesmin Pushyamanana Avidya Kama Karmati Savana Smarana Rahani Karishan Nitikechana. So this is the main reason why Krishna sends to this world. Bhavesmin Pushyamanana. In this world, people are suffering. Why people suffer? Avidya, Kama, Karmani. So, people have forgotten their relationship with God. That's why they are suffering. Avidya. There are 5 pressures, right? What are the 5 ways people suffer? Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesa, abhinivesa. When we forget our relationship with God, that is called avidya. And because of avidya, then we are thinking abhinivesa. Sorry. Uh, Raga, dvesa, abhinivesa. But before that comes identifying the self with the body. Uh, so in that way, when we identify ourselves with the body, then attachment is created. And sometimes when the desires are not fulfilled, then dvesa, hatred is created. And sometimes we are very much obsessive to enjoy the material world. So these are the causes of our sufferings. That's why Kundi Maharani says, in this world, people suffer because of avidya, kama, and karma. Because of avidya, they want to enjoy separately from Krishna, that is kama. To enjoy, they perform karma, and as a result of which, they suffer. But what they have to do when they are suffering by performing their activities to gratify their selfish desires, tannibrittaye savana arhani karmani karishan. So, therefore, Krishna descends to this world, he performs these pastimes, leaving us an opportunity. How? By meditating on the past and the activities, the name of the Supreme Lord, we can cross beyond this material distance. So, Narottam Das Thakur says, Krishna Bhaktir Bhagavata Subhashuva Karma Sevarika Jive Ajnana Tamadha. See, in this world, there are so many people that take shelter of some religious activities, Subha Karma. And there are some other activities which are also against Krishna consciousness called Asubha Karma. So, whether you perform Subha Karma or Asubha Karma, when it is producing a hindrance to the execution of Krishna Bhakti, that is actually Agyan, Avidya. And that is the Dharma, that is the religion in the mood of ignorance. Therefore, Queen Kunti, she is saying that you are very kind upon these conditioned souls. When you descend to this world, you leave your name, you leave your pastime, you leave your dham, thereby giving an opportunity for the conditioned souls to take shelter of your name, form, qualities, your pastimes and dham to get an exit from this material world. Prabhupada writes, a living being cannot help but render service because he is constitutionally made for that purpose. The only function of the living being is to render service to the Lord. The Lord is great and living beings are subordinate to him. Therefore, the duty of a living being is just to serve him only. Unfortunately, the illusioned living beings, out of misunderstanding only, become servants of the senses by material desire. This desire is called avidya or nescience. And out of such desire, the living being makes different plans for material enjoyment centered about a perverted sex life. He therefore becomes entangled in the chain of birth and death by transmigrating into different bodies on different planets under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Unless, therefore, one is beyond the boundary of this science, one cannot get free from the threefold miseries of material life. That is the law of nature. So that means when one comes in contact with the Supreme Lord, that is how we can release from the clutches of this material existence. And then finally, Kunti Maharani, she says that Sunvanti gayanti granhanti vishnasa smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana taeva pasyantya chirena tavakam bhava prabhaho paramam padam. This verse shows the actual reason for the Lord's appearance. If you see text number 35, and text number 36 is actually complementing what has been said in text number 35. When Krishna comes, he is leaving his name, right? Lord Ramchandra, he appears as Lord Ramchandra, that is one name. When he comes, Krishna name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu name of Gauranga, right? Vamandev. So he leaves his name when he descends. Sunvanti. The devotees, when they are engaged in hearing the name, form, and qualities, Sunvanti Gayanti. First you hear, the next thing is you chant, you glorify, you speak, you tell others about Krishna, Krishna's pastime, about his dham, about his name, how merciful he is. Like sometimes devotees they speak and glorify Krishna, that Krishna's name is even more merciful than Krishna himself. People, those who take shelter of Krishna, they might have seen Krishna, but they cannot get the benefit unless they take shelter of Krishna's holy name. That's how holy name is even more powerful. Okay, Sunanti, Gayanti, then Gananti. Gananti means when you hear about Krishna's qualities. For example, just now we are discussing how Krishna was reciprocating with Mother Yashoda's filial love. When we hear such kind of pastimes, it leaves an impression in our mind that, oh, Lord is so sweet. Lord is so merciful. He is so caring to his devotees. He performs such pastime just to give happiness to his devotees. Just to reciprocate with his devotees, he can come down to the platform and become just like a child. Like this. When you appreciate or when you think about Krishna's pastimes in your mind like this, that is called Gananti. Therefore, after going to the satsang program, hearing the lecture, a pure devotee, he meditates on what he has heard, or he remembers the essence of the talk. So when he is meditating on what he has heard, that is his type called Gunanti. Smaranti, Sunanti, Gayanti, Gunanti, Vakshanti, and Smaranti Nandanti Tavaitam. In this way, he is either remembering in his mind Smaranti, or he is kind of, in himself, he is deliberating on it. And then Nandanti. Nandanti means, oh, he feels very happy. Actually, devotees, when they hear about the Supreme Lord, whether in form of chanting his holy name or his particular pastime, his dealing with devotees, or they go to a pilgrimage where Krishna has performed particular pastime concerning that place, devotees feel natural happiness. They become naturally happy. Nandanti. Or we can say, Nandanti, Annahi Kirtamanam Avinandanti Jayajana. That means sometimes you go to a temple or you go to a yatra, some place, even in your temple also. And you hear one devotee, he is giving a very nice Krishna Katha. The way he explains, it really suits your heart and mind. You feel so satisfied. Then you feel, oh, you say, you know, Maharaj came or Prabhu came, you are speaking so nicely about this such and such past. I remember, it's still fresh in my mind. Ah, this is called Nandani. And this is what I think is necessary. See, these things have been said, yes, Sumanti, Gayanti, Grananti, and Smaranti, Nandanti. These activities are helping us to attain Bhava Prabham Param Padam Bhujam. They attain the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. According to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he says, this is how one attains Prema Bhakti. Can you imagine the greatness, the depth of Queen Kunti's prayer? That sometimes in a community, devotees they live together and they don't appreciate the good qualities in another devotee. How can you attain love of God? And yes, in such a simple way, the way to attain love of God has been defined by Kunti Maharaj. That simply by appreciating the way devotee glorify Krishna, you get love of God. Toyo Pashatya Chirana Tavakam. Tavakam means the devotee of the Lord, when they are engaged in hearing, glorifying, or even appreciating, remembering, and meditating on the Supreme Lord, name and his pastimes, they become qualified to see the lotus feet of Krishna, means Krishna awards them his service, and that is how they can completely bring cessation to their material existence. And according to Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, they attain Prema Bhakti. Therefore, Prabhupada, he has very beautifully commented on this verse. Like you see, he is saying this, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Dasa, Shishpa, they are highly qualified personalities by acquisition of material assets. But they were unable to appreciate the presence of the Lord. Therefore, even though the Lord may be present before our eyes, it is not possible to see him unless we have necessary vision. This is a very important purport actually. You see, there are some people like Prabha enlisted in Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Dasa. Okay, Ravana, he saw Ramchandra. Vibhishana also saw Ramchandra. Who was actually able to see Ramchandra? Ravana could not see. Whereas Vibhishana could see Lord Ramchandra. Because he was a devotee of Lord Ram. I mean to say, he was chanting Lord Ram's name. He was glorifying Ram's activities, his pastimes. And he was always remembering him. So this is the way to get the vision, necessary vision, how we can understand or enter into the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. For which the first part in this section, this Srimanti, the Sravana, the hearing, is the most important factor. And that hearing, or here you can say, this hearing has to be done properly. Therefore, Prabhupada is writing in his purport, he says, the Bhagavad Gita is one of the popular literature which are generally heard, chanted, repeated, etc. by the people in general. But in spite of such hearing, etc., sometimes it is experienced that the performer of such devotional service does not see the Lord eye to eye. The reason is that the first item, Savana, is very important. If hearing is from the origin, if hearing is from the right sources, it acts very quickly. Generally, people hear from unauthorized persons. Such unauthorized persons may be very learned by academic qualifications, but because they do not follow the principles of devotional service, hearing from them becomes a sheer waste of time. Sometimes the texts are interpreted fashionably to suit their own purposes. Therefore, first, one should select a competent and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. When the hearing process is perfect and complete, the other processes becomes automatically perfect in their own way. When we say bona fide speaker, means they know how to approach such kind of hearing. For example, the next Prabhupada explains about, like, for example, we are hearing Bhagavata, okay? Why we didn't go to 10th canto? Because it is not recommended. That is not the process. The process is to begin with the first canto, from the beginning. Even like you see, when I started the Bhagavatam program, so devotees were telling me, oh, this is first three verses, Mungalacham prayers, very highly philosophical, and why you are doing this. No, we have to follow the given process. We cannot just arbitrarily choose and arbitrarily you start teaching from the middle of a book. Or you can choose something to teach from somewhere, of course. But if you want to sincerely benefit the listeners, the students, then we have to start from the way it has been recommended by the acharyas, the authorities. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, see, one must hear about the Lord from the very beginning, as in the Srimad Bhagavata or any other scriptures, and that will help the hearer attain perfection in progressive development. Huh? For us, Krishna's dealing with the gopis and dealing with Arjuna are not very different. Because initially, when we are trying to purify ourselves and we are trying to fix our consciousness to Krishna, we have to kind of listen to the narrations, whether he is dealing with the gopi or dealing with uh, Arjuna from a bona fide source. That will actually ground us Krishna consciousness. It's very important. Huh? Therefore, but the end of the purport, Prabhupada says, we must always remember that the Lord is always transcendental to all mundane attachment. In all the above mentioned dealings of the Lord, He is the hero in all circumstances, and hearing about Him or about His devotees or comments is conducive to spiritual life. It is said that the Vedas and Puranas, etc., are all made to revive our lost relationship with Him. Hearing of all these scriptures is essential. Then, next verse. So, after praying to Krishna that you descend in this world just to give an opportunity for people to hear about your name from political pastimes, and that's how they attend to your lotus feet. Now, Kunti Maharani is speaking that, my dear Krishna, it is not good for you to leave us at this point in time when all these beings are inimical to us. So she is saying, Apyadyanastvam swapitehi prabhu jihasasi sweet surito jivna yesam chanyad bhavata padambuja parayanandaya suyoritam cha apyadya nashtam sokrite hitam from. Short people here. It's a very important, line here. Krishna, he is always concerned about doing good to his devotees. So protect him. Whatever his activities are, they are purely meant for benefiting his devotees. That's why Padmanayana is saying, right now you are leaving us. If Krishna says, why not? I can leave you now. Anyway, I have to leave. No, I have to go to Dwarka. I have to come from Dwarka for so many months now. So if I don't go, then who is going to do my duty? Now, Kunti Maharani is saying, now you see, just now the Kurukshetra battle is ended. And the kings who were killed, their children, grandchildren are still alive. They are in enmity with my children. And if you leave us now, who is going to protect us? Because of you only we are protected. So please don't go. This is not a correct time. Surito Mujivina. Surid Anujivina. Like if you see the affectionate dealing of the Pandavas with Krishna, that is how you understand what is the meaning of Surid or Anujivina. They are purely surviving on the merciful protection of Krishna. We all know power of Arjuna. We know all power of Bhima. Even though they were all great warriors, they were benedicted with many celestial weapons. Still, they were so much dependent on Krishna. My dear devotees in Krishna consciousness, this is a very important verse for us to take this spirit for our success in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes even in devotees also, they are confused. They say, oh, if we do everything, then why to remain dependent on Krishna? Even some karmi also, right? The karmis, there's mostly karmis that they think. No, we do everything and then we get the result. Why we should go to Krishna? What is the difference between a devotee doing everything and getting the result and karmi doing everything and getting the result? See, we are supposed to come to this platform of surviving and being very much affectionately connected with Krishna. Jihasasi Sridhar Anujivina. We have right to perform our duty with valor, at the same time remain dependent on the mercy of the Supreme. Accordingly, may say, well, if you are acting with all valor, and then the result will come, whether you remain dependent on Krishna or not, right? If you do a business, good business with all your might, then definitely the result needs to follow. So then why you need to kind of depend on Krishna? If all of a sudden market price is up, you earn good money, then what Krishna has to do with this? Even if Krishna is not there, still you can get good money because market price is high. Your product is there. Why are you bringing in Krishna in between? People say like that. No. You see, the difference is when a karmi, he does his activity, maybe he has some good, he has piety from his previous life, he is supposed to get some good result, but that good result is further going to implicate him to stay in this material world. Whereas a devotee, when he works with his fellow and fully remain dependent on the merciful protection of Krishna, then that time on, Lord takes the charge of that devotee, that even though he is in the midst of the opulence, he is not going to be doomed in this material world. There is a difference. Therefore, we understand this philosophy clearly, and We work with the Lord and even completely dependent on Krishna. Huh? So Prabhupada he writes in the purport that the Pandavas are most fortunate because with all good luck, they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. In the material world, to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of misfortune. But in the case of our transcendental relation with the Lord, it is the most fortunate case when we can live completely dependent on Him. Then further down, it says, the highest achievement of perfect civilization is to work with the Lord, but at the same time depend completely on the Lord. The Pandavas were the ideal executors of this standard of civilization. Undoubtedly, they were completely dependent on the goodwill of Lord Sri Krishna, but they were not ideal parasites of the Lord. They were all highly qualified both by personal character and by physical activities. Still, they always looked for the mercy of the Lord because they knew that every living being is dependent by constitutional position. The perfection of life is therefore to become dependent on the will of the Lord instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world. Those who try to become falsely dependent of the Lord are called anatha, or without any guardian. Whereas those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called sanatha, or those having someone to protect them. Therefore, we must try to be sanatha so that we can always be protected from the unfavorable condition of material existence. So this is the secret of Krishna consciousness. A devotee knows, even though he might have some good fortune from his previous karma, or in this lifetime he is healthy, he is having good position, he has got a lot of followers, still they always remain under the shelter, merciful protection of the Supreme Lord, because they don't want to remain anatha, sanatha. We cannot act independently. The constitutional position is to remain dependent. So then why not remain dependent on the Lord? It's a very simple thing, right? When we know Krishna going to give us everything, it's wise to remain dependent on Him. Anyway, we have to remain dependent, right? We are always dependent on someone. When you are a child, you are dependent on your father. Now you are a big man, you are dependent on a company, right? Or you are dependent on land. You are not independent. Nobody can say here that I am independent. You are dependent at any stage of your life. When you grow old, you are dependent on your children. Or sometimes you have to depend on your doctor also. You are not independent. So this goes with our constitution. The devotee knows this fact and he works with his kind of might. At the same time, he never gives up this dependent mood. That's how he is sanatha. Like Prabhupada used to give the example, and there are so many dogs loitering in the street without, what do you say, a chain on the neck. But if you find a dog with the chain on the neck, then you know that dog has a master. So similarly, we willfully accept the master. So that is the greatness of the devotees. Whereas those who are envious of the Lord, they cannot understand this. Or those who do not have the sufficient past credit, they don't take shelter of the Lord. That's how they continue to suffer because of acting independently in this material world. So Prabhupada says toward the end, Srimati Kunti Devi felt such separation like a thunderbolt, and the whole prayer of the queen is to try to persuade the Lord to stay with them. After the battle of Kurukshetra, although the inimical kings were killed, their sons and grandsons were still there to deal with the Pandavas. It is not only the Pandavas who were put into the condition of enmity, but all of us are always in such condition. And the best way of living is to become completely dependent on the will of the Lord and thereby overcome all difficulties of material existence. Wow, this last line when I was reading, not only Pandavas were in this situation, it is clearly saying, but also, but all of us are always in such condition, and the best way of living is to become completely dependent on the will of the Lord. We may be living in the temple, sometimes you also face some difficulty, right? So learn this technique of remain completely dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. That is how we can attain success in Krishna consciousness, or we can actually enjoy being a devotee of Lord Krishna, if we can practice this. Otherwise, we will be kind of hovering on a mental plane, and many times we will be facing with a lot of difficulties, and sometimes happy, sometimes unhappy, because of our mind. So, give up your connection with your mind. Come and take shelter, complete shelter of Krishna, and let Krishna take care of you. I pray with this note to Krishna that those who take shelter of him, he will definitely take care of you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So, dear devotees, we can now take some questions and comments from you. Okay. Silas Prabhu, you are very fast today. Silas Prabhu.
Wonderful class. Thank you very much indeed, as always. So the question I have is, where is the fine line between surrender and dependence and endeavor? Because my mind can become lazy in saying I'm surrendered to Krishna. I'm in the process of becoming Vanaprastha now. And where do we draw the line to saying, okay, now I'm surrendered and will depend completely on him, compared to making enough endeavor on our own to make sure that we're still able to.
See, this dependency mode, the line, as you said, where to draw the line, whether I am becoming lazy, crazy man, or actually sincerely I am depending on Krishna. It will be different. It will be differently explained for different individuals. Okay, since you are asking for a vanaprastha, let me respond from that perspective. But answer for brahmacharya sannyasi will be different. You should keep it in mind. Okay, and enable grahastha also will be different. See, in case of somebody who is already in a vanaprastha ashram, first of all, he should not be like an avoidist. I mean to say, he should not run away from his responsibility, claiming now I have become vanaprastha and I need to relinquish everything, just remain dependent on Krishna. That means you have a son. You before you enter into your vanaprastha life, so see this, this mood of remaining dependent on Krishna is not like one day, one fine morning, you wake up from your bed, then you decide, okay, now from today onwards, I'm going to remain fully dependent on Krishna because I heard Kunti's prayer, and this is how my Bhagavata life is supposed to be. Okay, I give up everything, and I'm depending on Krishna. This is called sentiment. It's a lifetime preparation. When you get married, that time you decided that at the age of 50, I am going to enter into Vanaprastha life. So by then, my son should be qualified enough to take care of my family members, my family need. And then only I can enter into Vanaprastha life. I cannot become I cannot act irresponsibly. So first of all, you have to execute your responsibility as an ideal Krishna conscious grahastha and make a plan, exit plan to become fully engaged in Krishna service. Again, here, what is the meaning of you relinquishing your involvement with family members as a Vanaprastha? You are fully being dependent on Krishna. Fully being dependent on Krishna does not mean you actually limit your area of responsibility or involvement. Actually, in one end, you are trying to kind of cut off your relationship with the family members. On the other hand, you are actually expanding your world of service to Krishna. This is actually our Vanaprastha life. We don't recommend you just leave your family and go to Vrindavan and just stay there. No. You expand your area of service because in this Kali Yuga, Prabhu, when you remain idle, your mind will create devil's worship. Right? So therefore, what you have to do is you have to find a suitable engagement in preaching so that you are being fully dependent on Krishna. Actually, your preaching engagement will teach you how to remain fully dependent on Krishna. Otherwise, just staying at home, you are having maybe you have earned a lot and you are having a comfortable life, you are saying I am dependent on Krishna. Yeah, to some degree. But if you want to really realize how you are dependent on Krishna, then become a preacher and take the risk. Sometimes you run into risk and you learn how to remain dependent on Krishna. And to do that, you have to make a lifetime plan when you are entering into Grahastha ashram, getting married. After getting married, make a plan with your wife. What is your exit plan? And what is the kind of, how you going to serve Krishna for the rest of your life? That is the meaning of being dependent on Krishna. Not that one fine morning you wake up, you say, now I am dependent on Krishna, and I will make a plan. No. You have to plan from the beginning. That requires some intelligence.
So just a corollary question on that, Prabhuji, sorry. Sometimes even when you're in the planning process, you spend a lifetime planning, the plans do not go to plan because Krishna has his plan. You might have your plan, but he has his plans. And therefore, one at that point needs to surrender to his plan because no matter how much planning you do, things don't go that way. So ultimately, the plans may not fructify.
No. One thing I can tell you in this connection, this is a question of how you see your failure. As you said, you may plan, but ultimately his plan is going to take over and you may plan to fail also. No. How you see at that time your failure. Krishna might put you into some difficult situation just to magnify your sense of responsibility. Why don't you see that? Why do you take that as your failure? When you plan everything according to Krishna's desire, what Krishna wants, what Guru wants, that time that failure is not supposed to be your failure, that is Krishna's failure. Try to understand this. Or that kind of conviction, to come that kind of conviction is not so easy. Therefore, we fail and we say, oh, I was thinking like this, but now it is going like that. When you plan something independently for your benefit, for your sentiment, to satisfy your sentiment, that is a problem. When you, for example, you are thinking now, I want to just remain in the temple and do puja service. Or you went to temple, nobody is allowing you, or you want to, maybe Krishna is testing your presence. Maybe go to another temple because you are committed, you want to do puja seva. Whether you stay in a Ambulan temple or a simple temple, as long as you are getting puja service, that's, you should be satisfied. So that is why Krishna is testing the sense of your responsibility. He is going to glorify you for that afterwards. You have not seen that. So therefore, when we are planning, our planning should not be outside of the plan of Guru and Krishna to expand our involvement in Krishna consciousness. If we plan, then even that time, apparently speaking, your plan is not being successful. Still, you have hope that no, I am not planning something different. What I am planning is the mission of Guru and Krishna, and if I am satisfied that, you will be happily chanting your rounds and you will be successfully executing your Krishna consciousness in a peaceful spirit. Therefore, understanding has to be basic. Understanding has to be very clear from the beginning. Otherwise, you will be concocting and you will be finding, oh, this did work, that did not work, this is a problem, that's a problem. Basic concepts will be very clear from the beginning.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the class, Prabhuji. Very beautiful. My question is like in line with Shailesh Prabhu's question. I think this topic of dependence on Krishna needs very detailed explanation because depending on whom you ask this question to, like how should a devotee depend on Krishna, depending on the devotee's own personal mood, devotees usually give different answers. There is a video circulating around, probably some of you have seen it. I won't mention the name, but there is one, excuse me, very powerful guru in our movement who was asked about certain needs of devotees, that these are temple devotees. They have dedicated their lives solely to Krishna. They don't do anything. They live in the temple. They work like 18 hours a day, and they do not even have toothpaste. And the guru's answer was, why do you have to concern yourself about needing a toothpaste? Just depend on Krishna, which to me is, so wow. So I don't understand what it means to be dependent on Krishna, because a few verses ago, Srila Prabhupada himself was stating in the purport that dependent on Krishna does not mean that you become idle or parasitic to Krishna. So I don't know if you would like to throw a little bit more light on dependent on Krishna.
Okay, since your case study, I think you very well remember I started responding to this question saying, don't think that being dependent on Krishna is like a one answer for everybody. I said it can be responded differently for brahmachari, for grihastha, Bhanapurim, sannyasi. In different circumstances, the answer can be different. My dear Sadhya, do you remember this statement?
Yes, I do, yes.
Good. Now that is where I'm coming from now to help you understand the situation. You see, now we are assessing a particular case that happened in the temple. That somebody told that no, you don't care. Why just remain dependent on God? Probably, I would say this is not correct actually. This is not at all correct. Try to understand. Now, from this temple perspective, I can tell you. Here, the leader is the representative of Guru and Krishna. And devotees who are serving in the temple, they are actually serving Guru and Krishna through the leader. This is the kind of spiritual arrangement taught to us or given to us, you can say. So here, the leader who is thinking that devotees should remain dependent on Krishna, then this foolish leader should understand that just by saying remain dependent on Krishna, I am trying to wash off my hands. I don't want to perform, I am a lazy person. Rather, he should also help them to remain dependent on Krishna by providing what they need to do their service for Krishna. You tell me, if somebody, because of the want of a toothpaste, is not able to maintain the cleanliness standard, how he is going to go to the temple to pray to the Lord? He cannot attend the morning prayer, right? He has to go to the kind of, the market to find a toothpaste, so his the morning program is gone. What does it mean? Means you are actually interfering with his Krishna consciousness, his service to the Lord. That is not the meaning of independence. That is the meaning of being dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. We are not living in a Bhavaji Sangha. You know Bhavaji Sangha, these people are not bothered about their position. They don't keep anything with them. Okay, for them they are saying something different. But in our society, we are having a lot of opulence. And we want our devotees to behave properly. They should remain clean. This is what Prabhupada wanted. Why, being a leader in the temple, you cannot provide toothpaste to maintain cleanliness standard by your brahmacharis? And you are saying you just remain dependent on Krishna, Krishna's mercy. This is foolishness. This is not correct. So in our situation, when as a leader, before you tell your subordinate devotees to remain dependent on Krishna, you have to ensure that because we are Goshti Anandi and we have now brought the devotees in to live in the temple, our duty is to help them get the necessary items because we are still on the sadhana platform. We are not yet in Siddha platform. What you are saying, maybe this is a mixture of kind of consciousness and mood. No. When we are the Goshti in a temple atmosphere, like another devotee dependent on another devotee. So that means if both of them are not performing their service reciprocally, then you cannot just one devotee cannot just the other devotee saying by using his power you just remain dependent on Krishna. No, that is not fair. Therefore, a lot of problems are arising in the temple atmosphere when devotees getting frustrated, they are living in the name of speaking the sentimental philosophy. This is not actual philosophy, that's sentimental philosophy. No, Prabhupada didn't want like that. Have you ever seen Prabhupada cut the belly of our devotees in the name of oh, we don't have money? No, he did not say. He never. Unless you are giving good prasadam, whatever facility is there. No, take it, become a better devotee. That is the meaning of being dependent on Krishna. You tell me, just few months back, one new devotee joins in the temple, and you give him big lectures, just remain dependent on Krishna. What he has learned, after all, he need to become a sadhaka. His dependency will come from we need to gradually evolve. So you as a leader, you need to facilitate that mood so that you don't have to tell him that you remain dependent on Krishna. He will automatically adopt that principle in his life. That is your duty as a leader to help him to invite that mood. You, without helping him to invite, you are just giving instruction on the level of sentiment. That is not correct atmosphere. That is how temples are shutting down. Devotees are being frustrated. They are leaving the movement. This is our problem. Because we don't have qualified leaders. Qualified leadership is very much missing. I become the leader, I take all the opportunities for me. I want to live good in good place, with everything good, and I need good money also to ride a Mercedes car. All things would be centered around me only, my leader. Other devotees let them go to Satan. I don't bother. And they say, okay, you are dependent on Krishna. What is this? Huh? Do you think this was the Mula Acharya? Prabhupada founded Acharya? No. He didn't create a facility like this. He didn't create organization like this. We are actually polluting it.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I'm so blessed and thankful to have you as my teacher for this course. Thank you so much for the answer.
I'm sorry, bro. I have to tell the truth. You accept it or don't accept it. Somebody, I don't know.
Thank you.
This is how actually I find how we devotees are jeopardizing the growth of our movement. We need to be more mature.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class. Um, I know you have explained this already, but still, I'm not very clear on this. You mentioned that about how Krishna is happy when a devotee thinks him less important than himself. So, Prabhuji, like if we talk about Yashodamai or Gopa or Gopis, I understand that part that, okay, they were never thinking that he is a supreme personality of Godhead, but they were always giving him importance, like whether in a service mode or whether it's listening, like how Krishna asked them that we should worship Govardhan and not Indra. So I'm like what I understand, because they were listening and serving him more than, they all love him more than himself, more than themselves. That means they are giving him more importance than himself. So how I can understand this Prabhuji? Sorry if my question is
No, good. You see, and I say, Mother Yashoda, she, okay, this statement was the devotee considered the Lord less important than himself. And Lord becomes very happy to become subordinate to his devotees. Even that also I made a statement. You see, here, definitely for them, Krishna was of utmost importance. Because Krishna is the center of Brajavasis, center of attraction to the Brajavasis. And he's supposed to, because he is Krishna. How can you say Krishna cannot be the most important person for his devotees? But at the same time, in exchange of the rasa, even for the gopis, okay, Krishna is the most important person for them. But when Narmuni came, he said, "Oh, Krishna needs dust from the devotee's feet so that his fever can subside." Gopi said, "Okay, take as much as you want." Do you think if you feel somebody who is superior to you and is very important for you, you would like to give your dust? No, you will not. But see, that is a sign of love. Mother Yashoda, she loves Krishna. Brajavasi, they love Krishna so much that whatever they say, they will follow. But at the same time, they know he is our Lala, we have to take care of him. Forget about them. Let me give you just example from this world. The parents are so much in love with their small baby. Sometimes, just to satisfy the baby, the father had to go to the market. Even though he does not have time, he does not want to go. Why he is going? He is giving importance to his baby because he likes the baby. It's not that he's going there means whatever baby does, whatever he's going to live into a risky situation, while going to the market, he will ensure that baby is well protected. Now, he is ensuring that I need to take care of him. That is the mood. So in Ragatmika Bhakti or in Raganuga platform, devotee definitely does everything for Krishna. But at the same time, his love makes Krishna remain subordinate to his devotees. And that is what Krishna enjoys most. But that happens in a very high level of devotional service in the platform of Bhagavata. not before that. I don't know whether I was able to explain to you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much, dear devotees. So today we have completed until 37. So next week we'll continue from text number 38. And we will try to complete this chapter next week. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Vanchakalpataro yasya kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo. Anantapurti Vaishnava.
His Grace Padmanayana Prabhu ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.